1,000 F-350, 450, 550 trucks sold with ambulance packages and equipped with 6.7-liter diesel engines. Those engines could stall, apparently because of a malfunctioning
That's
sensor.
really good for
You're listening to
ambulance.
Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
For us thinking of recalling a vehicle that's just described and turned for stalling,
We've got the
and it
answer
turns out
to
it's an ambulance.
ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center.
I'm Tom Bowman. Taking a look at traffic, we do have a couple of incidents out there. One in Brookfield, Garfield at Grand, we have a down power line. And then on 55 southbound near Brentwood, we have an accident in the right shoulder, or rather the right ditch. Looks like a car into the ditch. It's not causing any kind of backup, but just be on the lookout for that if you're traveling through the area. Looks like there's also an accident on 8094 eastbound between Klein and Kennedy is going to be your delay. That's due to an accident blocking.
I think we should do a show just wearing
We also
shoulder
have a
holsters.
report of a car into a house in Fox Lake at Grand and Hickory. So just keep an eye out for that. Eisenhower inbound between Racine and downtown is going to be slow. 30 in from Thorndale, 17 in from Manheim. Outbound side is 20 to Manheim and 33 out to Thorndale. It's currently 33 degrees on
Only my
partly cloudy
head
skies,
shows
dropping down
in
to
the
28
video
tonight with
stream feed. Only
continued
my
partly
head
cloudy
shows above
skies.
the monitor,
Get your next
so that's
update in
fine.
15
I'll
minutes on
wear whatever
AM560 The Answer.
Maybe we should put you on a little, little
100
platform.
years, the
Yeah.
Illinois State Rifle Association has supported the rights
Yeah, one of
and
my dads
freedoms
built
of
me a
Illinois
little box
citizens
and
to
I'll
keep and
I'll
bear
paint
arms.
soap
For
on the
over
sides.
100
Exactly.
years, the
Get up on your
ISRA
soapbox.
supported the use of
Absolutely.
firearms as a
I
sport
get
for
that.
personal protection and as a fundamental aspect of national defense. For over 100 years, the Illinois State Rifle Association has been supporting you. Don't you think it's time you supported them? ISRA.org or 815-635-3198. The Illinois State Rifle Association, supporting you.
Did you need a makeover? Tired of your outdated bathroom? Did a big box store raise more questions than answers? The answer is Stone City. 2
Okay.
million square feet of marble and granite countertops in 50 colors starting at $26 a square foot installed. Plus the latest appliances, cabinetry, faucets, and fixtures. Stone City designers transform your dream into reality. Stone City, 3053 West Grand in Chicago, or call 773-533-9806. That's 773-533-9806. Stone City, it's your home, only better.
1 minute.
Too many Americans are living without dental insurance, which means they might not be getting even the most basic care for their families. After all, a simple cleaning could cost $100, and other procedures like crowns and root canals can cost hundreds more.
45
That's why at
seconds.
Physicians Mutual Insurance Company, we're proud to offer dental coverage that Americans can afford for less than $1 a day, with the freedom to choose any dentist you want and never pay a deductible. This isn't a discount plan. This is real dental insurance that can pay for over 300 procedures, everything from cleanings and fillings to crowns and dentures. Acceptance is guaranteed for one of these insurance policies, no matter what.
Every time I
even
think
if it
of you,
comes on
my
medical.
middle finger gets a bone.
We're on a mission to help provide Americans with good dental insurance. So please, if you don't have coverage, call 1-800-922-7756 for all the details. That's 1-800-922-7756 to receive a free information kit directly by mail. 1-800-922-7756.
Showtime!
Serious prices go to waste.
If I could have gotten 51
Showtime.
votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
I have 2 words for you. Predator drones. You will never see it coming.
It's time for On Target Radio, Chicagoland's only radio show dedicated to the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech. Now, debating, debunking, and discussing today's hot issues. Here are your hosts, David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz.
And welcome to On Target Radio. I'm David Lombardo.
I'm Gretchen Fritz. Tonight, David and I will be talking about President Obama's insistence on not linking Islam to terrorism, an Army chaplain punished for referring to the Bible in a suicide prevention seminar, the decline of the traditional family structure, and women going to Army Ranger School.
And be sure to give us a call at 312-642-5600 or go to Facebook, like our page On Target Radio, and ask a question there. How many journalists does it take to change a light bulb? 3. One to report it as an inspired government program to bring light to the people. One to report it as a diabolical government plot to deprive the poor of darkness. and one to win a Pulitzer Prize for reporting that the electric company hired a light bulb assassin to break the bulb in the first place. You know, the press used to be referred to as the Fourth Estate. Its job was to keep an eye on the other three, the executive, legislative, and judicial branches. Admittedly, the press has had a checkered past, which led a pundit to long ago observe, there are government lies and newspaper lies, but in a democracy, they are different lies. Having said that, the press has come a long way since colonial times, when it would simply make up heinous lies about candidates that publishers didn't want to see elected. Well, okay, maybe times haven't changed all that much, but at least the press has, for better or worse, traditionally been adversarial to the other three estates, acting as a watchdog for John Q. But not so much anymore. Take, for instance, the press's support for this president's categorical denial that terrorism and Islam are linked. The official word from whatever golf course the president happens to be on at the time is that terrorist attacks should not be associated with the word Islamic, even if appended to the word radical or extremist. And the press carries the water to John Q. This president continues to speak of terrorist attacks as workplace disputes, random acts of violence, and lone wolf perpetrators. He constantly would have John Q believe none of these acts have anything to do with Islam. While it's increasingly difficult for the press to ignore major terrorist attacks, such as that which recently occurred in Paris, the truth is the White House and its lackey press is hiding the truth from John Q. Since the September 11th attacks, there have been 24,861 deadly Islamic terrorist attacks, 78 since January 1st of this year, including the execution of a child and 11 other Iraqis by ISIS in front of their families, 2 people beheaded in Egypt, a policewoman investigating a traffic accident in Paris was ambushed by a Muslim extremist, and an Al-Qaeda suicide bus bomber blows 37 people up at a college in Yemen. White House spokesman Josh Earnest went on record as saying, and I quote, "We have chosen not to use that label of radical Islam because it doesn't seem to accurately describe what happened," unquote. Really? Witnesses at the scene of the Charlie Hebdo massacre report constant shouts of Allah Akbar and "we have avenged the Prophet Muhammad" as the gunman mowed down innocent people? In what alternate universe does that not constitute Islamic terrorism? And then there's this. These terrorists are hardly secretive about their religious affiliation, their goals, and their actions. They are actively on Facebook, Twitter, and other social media outlets. Islamic terrorists have never seen a video camera they didn't love. They're such media whores they make Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson look like pikers. For the love of God, how can anyone on earth not fully understand what's going on? You'd have to be living under a rock not to know. Or, in the White House. But all that is going on over there somewhere. And America is relatively safe from terrorists, right? Aside from the 2,996 Americans killed on September 11th, that is. Well, not exactly. Since September 11th, there have been 40 separate acts of terrorism in the United States committed by radical Muslims, accounting for 62 deaths. Perhaps more important, there have been plenty of mass murder plots against Americans by Islamic terrorists that were thwarted by the FBI, law enforcement, and overseas intelligence operations both before and after 9/11, as well as several that were simply botched, such as the attempt to blow up Times Square. The truth is the ratio is 3,058 Americans killed and 1 Muslim retaliation killing. Oh yeah, there has been 1 Muslim American killed in revenge. A Muslim convenience store owner who was gunned down by Mark Anthony Stroman in Texas. Stroman, a white supremacist with a felony criminal record, hardly qualifies as an upstanding citizen. He did claim to be motivated by anger after having watched the Twin Towers fall. Regardless, he was sentenced to death in court. When you look at the complete list of terrorist acts committed by Muslims since September 11th, it comes out to about 5 a day. But that's a conservative figure because many such attacks in third world countries never get picked up by the international news sources, even those resulting in multiple losses of life. Which brings me to the point. This president, aided and abetted by the press, is covering up the truth about Islamic terrorism. It's here, it's happening, and no one is safe anymore. Plan accordingly. That, Gretchen, is my rant for the week.
5 a day. That
5.
is amazing. At least 5 a day is
And
really
you don't hear about it.
is really what it is. Yeah, and I was just thinking the other day, and I think I mentioned to you after I was contemplating on my own that I'm surprised the press is covering, you know, the Charlie Hebdo and the kosher grocery store and all the stuff. And the ISIS attacking the Yazidis in Iraq and all that. I'm surprised that the media is covering it to the extent that they are, and Boko Haram, and I mean all of these things that are going on in other parts of the world. I mean, they could simply choose not to cover it, but it sounds like they are choosing not to cover a lot of things that they could.
You're right. You're listening to On Target Radio. This is AM560 The Answer. Give us a call, 312-642-5600, 312-642-5600. You know, it would be hard to not cover the Paris thing. I mean, it was enormous. It was a big deal.
It was a big deal.
Yeah. But all this other, if you figure 5 a day average, you know, is what it's coming out to be, that's a whole lot of not reporting.
And I guess it depends on too how you count that. Like the Boko Haram thing has been going on continuously. I mean, do you count that every day that
Sure.
it goes on? Or I mean, I guess I would, because they could report on it every day.
They could. I mean, as people die, that's that's what it is. That's what it is.
Well, you said plan accordingly, so I wore my infidel T-shirt today.
You did.
So I'm ready. I want the Muslims, the extremists,
Make sure you hyphenate
the
properly.
murderers. Yes,
Yep.
I want them to know. I don't want there to be any question about who's an infidel. I'm an infidel.
You're in it, I guess. I understand.
As are you.
I've known that all along.
Yes, you have.
We're not even talking about terrorism. Here's the problem. You know, Obama. This is a statement from Josh Earnest, which I really find it ironic that the press secretary for the president's name is Ernest.
Ernest.
Yeah.
I think he was probably hired solely on the basis of his
That
surname.
name, that's right.
They're like, okay, well, we got to come back from Jay Carney somehow, so let's hire Josh Earnest.
That'll work. He said, President Barack Obama has a moral responsibility to push back on the nation's journalism community when it's planning to publish anti-jihadi articles that might cause a jihadi attack against the nation's defense forces.
What?
Little suspension of
Okay.
First Amendment there.
There are so many problems with that. I don't even know where to start. Like how up until like that moment when he said that Obama could give a rat's butt about the military around the world. I mean, he's like the most apathetic commander-in-chief we've ever had, at least in my lifetime. And all of a sudden, all of a sudden, like, oh, that's his primary concern. BS. I call BS.
Well, this, the whole thing is we're letting these people walk all over us. Look, Duke University was going to have call to prayers from their bell tower.
Well, at least, the silver lining here is they were only going to do it once on Fridays. They weren't going to do it 5 times a day like they're really supposed to.
Well, then when the pressure was on, they buckled. One day later, they changed their mind. And
we can talk about that when we come back.
We'll talk about it when we come back a little bit more. And then also we're going to talk about the Army punishing a chaplain for referring to the Bible with more on Target Radio. And you're listening to AM560, The Answer.
I almost said bullshit.
What?
I almost said bullshit.
I
I almost said I called bullshit.
I was waiting for it.
George is ready. I almost said it.
Over what? What were you going to?
Because I said I called BS. I almost said I called bullshit.
I could see your whole body sort of pull back slightly right before that. I was like, oh no, she got it. Because I was thinking it as you were saying it, and I was like, bullshit, you know? And I was like, oh wait.
Oh wait, we're on
There
the
was this
radio.
like wave. It's like somebody tied a rubber band
We
to her
can't say
neck.
we can't say bullshit on the radio.
No,
That's a biological term. We're talking about
That's why
biology,
if you are
That's why you can't
talking
say it.
about the defecation by male cows,
and we are. We're talking about Obama.
you still can't say the S word on these airwaves.
I'm just shocked by that. I
You
can't.
won't
I
get an
can't.
FCC
I can't
fine.
rebel.
You won't get an FCC fine if you're talking about the way bulls shit. But you will. I will get a very sternly worded email.
Oh!
You
As
think
well as, you know what they'll
any
probably do? They'll give me a 6-day suspension, which will run out next
Yeah.
Saturday. So I can be back Sunday.
do you think
It's
any
like
of them
baseball. You
listen
give
to
a 5-game
this show?
suspension to a pitcher.
I don't think they even know this show exists, let alone listen to it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they think the building's empty right now. I think the majority of people
I
who
do
do not
too.
directly involved think that everything on Sunday night is pre-recorded.
I
Dave Stripling's the morning show producer. In the loop, beyond in the loop. Sits there right outside of Marcus's office, his desk. Marcus has his door open all day, every day. Dave can hear everything that's said. He had no idea anybody was going to be here 3 weeks ago. He showed up, he's like, what the fuck is going on? He goes, is there breaking news or something? I'm like, no, it's just a normal Sunday. He goes, there's people here on Sundays?
Marcus Brown said
Produces
that.
the morning show. He had
No,
no
the
idea.
guy who sits outside.
Who?
Marcus Brown.
No, Dave Stripling. He's me every morning.
That's pretty
Poor
bad.
bastard. Yeah.
We're not held in high esteem.
You're just, people are ignorant of David Lombardo.
We're trampled on.
I didn't get the call. I didn't get the call.
Yeah,
I say we trample back on, let's pick it in the hallway.
I could have been there in the morning.
Tomorrow
I could've
morning?
done
yeah.
it.
Raising awareness for Sunday nights.
They let
Raising
Pinker
awareness
do
for
it.
Sunday
They
nights.
let Pinker do it.
What, pick it in the hallway?
No, he was on. He filled for Big John. Did you ever hear?
No, he did not fill in for
Well,
Big
did
John.
you? I was just gonna say, did you hear that story?
That's great.
They called something. He was sick, I guess, wasn't it?
Big John was very sick
And
for a while.
they called Pinker like 3 in the morning or something, and said, "Can you come in and fill in for John?" And he goes, "Okay." So he gets up and comes all the way here. Who was it? Marcus? Who took over for him?
I know. I can't remember who was in studio, but he showed up and they were like, "No, it's okay. We
Yeah,
got somebody."
somebody
We got
else was
somebody.
already here.
And Jeff was like,
Joking.
Oh, he was. I thought he was gonna kill them all.
he called me.
Did
It
they
was
call him by-
5:15
did
in
they
the
call him
morning.
by accident? Like, how did that happen?
No, they were like, "Oh my God, we're desperate." They called him, and then they found a safer option, to be honest with you, and used it instead. He called me at 5:15. He goes, "Charlie, I'm fucking pissed." I'm like, "Why are you calling me?" He goes, "You're the only person I know who's always awake at 5 in the morning."
On Target Radio.
Oh, hi.
We have a radio show.
The Answer with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen.
Hi.
More interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
And we're back with more on Target Radio, and we're both in the studio at the same time.
Woo!
It's,
We
that's,
didn't have our headphones on, but you know, that's just a detail.
that's a high point of the day.
That's
We
just
were
a small detail.
exactly. We were talking about Duke University, which was founded as a Methodist and
Quaker.
Quaker.
I'm not really sure how did the Methodists and the Quakers get together? I'm
I-
not really sure how that happened.
I don't.
That's actually the most plausible thing I could think of.
I don't know. But in any event, it supposedly is a religious school, which of course it's not.
It's
but,
not.
yeah, but it's interesting that it's religious to the extent that they were willing to do a Muslim call to prayer
From the chapel tower.
from the chapel down.
That was actually the part that I found most offensive.
Certain amount of irony.
If
in
you
that.
broadcast that from some academic building, I
Yeah.
almost don't care. But if you broadcast it from the chapel tower, I have a teeny problem with that.
There's probably Quakers rolling over in a grave. Well, anyway,
Yeah, I
Billy
think so.
Graham's son, who I forget his name,
Franklin.
Graham, yeah, took umbrage. Hard to imagine.
I can't imagine why.
and did the unthinkable thing of telling Duke alumni that they should cut the university off.
They should no longer write those checks.
Yeah, and it took 24 hours for that to go into effect.
Bye bye.
But here's the thing that bothered me, to be serious about it. Graham urged Duke. This is an article that was written about canceling it. Okay.
Right.
Graham urged Duke alumni to withhold support because of violence against Christians that he attributed to Muslims.
I think that the journalist took some liberty there. because it's not up to Franklin Graham to attribute it to Muslims. The Muslims go, they take responsibility. We did it. It was us.
See, this is the whole point. Here's an article which really has nothing to do with that subject about whether they do it or not, and they still inject this. Well,
Franklin Graham said it was
Yeah,
the Muslims
it's
causing the violence against the Christians. Right, sure it was. Duke University, they have a long history of, I can't say the word that I'm thinking of, but of,
because you get bleeped.
yeah, I would get,
Oh.
apparently tonight I'm thinking of a lot of words
I-
I can't say.
You got George sweating back there.
But anyway, no, George lives for this. They've already removed Chick-fil-A from campus, and
They did?
they canceled a pro-life event. So Duke Duke University has a long history of not having a spine. We'll just say.
That's true. And the ultimate reason they cited for doing it had nothing to do with
This is
all the
racist.
alumni cutting off the funds.
They wouldn't admit that it had to do with
That's
money.
right. It never has to do with money. They said it cited security concerns as part of the reason for the school's reversal. Must be the same security concerns that the President of the United States had and wouldn't go, to Paris to
Right.
be part of that rally
Right.
when they had the leader of the PLO and the Israeli there
Right.
side by side.
Right.
What are the odds you could ever do that? And
Right.
Obama has.
And Obama missed it.
Yeah.
I think it's also funny that Duke said its effort to unify was not having the intended effect.
Now there is an understatement.
that
Absolutely.
is so euphemistic that
I don't know.
I have a very visceral reaction about that.
Yeah, you're listening on Target Radio is AM560 The Answer. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. Here's an interesting thing that caught both our attention. The Army wants to punish a chaplain for referring to the Bible.
Yeah,
I'm having a hard time wrapping my brain around that concept.
I am too. When you gave me this, I just said just reading the headline. You don't have to read the story. It's like, I'm sorry. I was under the impression that was why you hired the guy. It's because he knows about the Bible.
Maybe they're going to start cooking grits. Who knows? I don't know what they're going to do with the chaplains. It makes no sense at all. It was a suicide prevention seminar. Okay, well, all right, that's fine. And he wasn't even proselytizing religion. He was talking about how, because he was a ranger himself.
Yes.
Right, he was a ranger. And he was talking about how a depression problem he had when he was an active ranger, airborne ranger.
Right.
And that he found solace in the Bible.
Exactly.
So it was a personal experience story. It wasn't, preaching.
Right. Exactly. He cited the story of King David.
Right. As being a role model.
As helping him personally, and he's just talking about his own personal experience. That helped him deal with his depression.
So the question in my mind is, why would you ask a chaplain to teach suicide prevention if you didn't want any religious connotation? Why don't you get a psychologist to teach it?
Right. Or
So he got written up, which for people who haven't been in the military, getting a letter, and this one is temporary, it's I think 3 years, I think it said it would be in his folder. But if you've never been in the military, you don't quite understand. It's not like you got a letter from Dad saying you shouldn't have done that. When you put a letter in the jacket, a 201 file, they call them, I can't say the word, actually, because George has got his finger poised over the button. But you are,
well, that's fine.
You are, never mind, but you are. I mean, basically, it's stuff like that's a career
That's
ender.
real serious.
Yeah, it's like a career ender, and that's what they've done to this poor guy. And here's the interesting thing about it: nobody in the class complained.
Right. It was an atheist from outside.
Yeah, it was. He was there, but what he did is he took a copy of a brochure that the chaplain had given out, put it on Facebook on an atheist Facebook site, and that torched him off, and that's what started the ball rolling. Which I don't think he was Jewish, but
all of a sudden I am.
Yeah, this is just getting so out of control.
It is. It is absolutely out of control. I actually know somebody who's a Navy chaplain, not an Army chaplain, a Navy chaplain, And the Navy's gone off the deep end too. They're removing Gideon's Bibles and crap like that. It's gone.
I don't get it.
Yeah, and especially for our people who are serving in the military, who are putting their lives on the line, they need to have. They're protecting our freedoms, but then they get those freedoms taken away. It's nonsensical. It's absolutely. It's egregious that should happen to them.
You know, it's top down. This administration. I mean,
It's commander-in-chief problem.
it really
Absolutely.
is. It really is. It's this stuff is coming out of the White House, and
You know, I used to say and really believe. I mean, I really like Mike Huckabee as an example. He's he's a former minister, and so he's a very religious, very spiritual person. And I used to say and actually believe that as much as I like him, he's unelectable because he is known to be so Christian.
Yeah.
But I think maybe that's the antidote we need to this commander-in-chief in order to put back and fix all the wrongs, right all the wrongs that have happened. We need somebody who's really going to protect our men and women in the military.
I think just in general, the problem that we have, and we're going to talk about this in the next segment. We're going to talk about the traditional family structure. I think liberalism, secular liberalism, literally is trying to disintegrate the entire structure of what we've known as America.
Oh, no question about it. It's on the agenda. They had like a 10-point agenda of how the socialists were going to take over America, and that's one of them. It's to get people to question the Bible and religion.
Yeah,
it's one of the items on the agenda.
And here's the thing: whether a person's religious or not is not an issue. What is an issue? If you look at the basic tenets of the Bible, look at the Ten Commandments. I don't care if you believe in God or not. Those 10 Commandments make sense. They're like sort of a glue that holds society. Exactly. They're a glue that holds society together. Whether you like religion or not is not the point. Those are the basic tenets upon which this country was founded, Judeo-Christian ethic. And that Judeo-Christian ethic is falling apart. And it's a top-down thing. I mean, you know it is. And what irritates me is, if you're Christian, you can't be heard from. If you're Muslim, not a problem.
Right. If you're a Christian, you're going to get the short end of the stick every time.
Right. And I got nothing against Muslims. Trust me. I mean, I have friends who are, and they're great people. But this particular subset, and it's a sad thing, but the truth is, if you're a Muslim, you're behind the 8 ball right now. It just is. That's just the way it is. No, if you're a Muslim, because the society is now getting around to where these people got to go.
Oh.
And it's going to be a big sweep of people that shouldn't have to go. We're going to be back with more On Target Radio after a few messages, and you're listening to AM560, The Answer.
Floodgates of economic spending. If it wasn't out of control before,
We're going to
it
do
is now.
family structure. I don't understand. Can you see this? You see this on the board, the phone board?
Yeah, I do. It's like a little mustache.
It's like a gun sight.
Or that. Or we like that, though.
Only if I'm not the one getting shot.
It's especially for On Target Radio.
Well,
AM560 The Answer.
Fox News Radio on Terror McHugh. Police raids in France nab more terror suspects.
8 men and
nothing
one
on
woman who don't know to what
Facebook,
extent they are part of a criminal gang or some sort of terrorist organization. But it is believed that they are connected in some way with Ahmadi Koulibaly, who is the terrorist who took hostages at the kosher supermarket last week. But it's possible that they also have links to the Kouachi brothers, who killed people at Charlie Hebdo.
Fox's Amy Kellogg, an Army veteran who became a fitness model, is killed by a train in California.
37-year-old George Plitt Jr. was filming along with 2 other men just north of the Burbank station when he was hit by a southbound Metrolink train. The West Point graduate appeared on more than 200 magazine covers. Bravo's reality show Workout, and the NBC soap Days of Our Lives.
Fox Radio's Jane Metzler. Fox News, we report, you decide.
I'm sorry, what?
Stuck in traffic?
Okay,
We've got
like
the answer from the ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center.
Maryland's Molesky likes, my post is almost at radio.
Garfield at Grand, and then an accident reported on the southbound of 55 near Renwick. No word on lanes or shoulders there, but it's not causing any kind of delay. Also, the Fox that we're just getting word of a possible.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. She has something about the EPA preventing Calmar from being used as fertilizer.
Out there tonight. We do have a little bit of a delay on the Eisenhower.
No idea.
Slightly off topic.
I mentioned that.
Did
I
she?
even tried giving her sort of a generic Safer USA email.
Post office to Manheim
In
is
case she
19
wanted, or on target radio, sort of takes a look and send them a message.
CTA has
Yeah, because it's got nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Okay.
37 degrees in the parking
Tell
lot.
her-
Well, get in
Oh, maybe she's
to
watching.
the segment.
Maybe she's watching Ustream and we were talking about bullshit.
That's possible.
That's probably why
There could
she's
be a
thinking of
connection.
Common.
No, because she started with something else that was completely irrelevant, which is
Even
just
further away than
yes.
Common.
She said the Wiggles will be running
And that
within the
Commodore was
generation,
bringing
so
back
she
toward the
was
centers.
Commodore brought her closer to the rational topic. She was talking about redoing the Constitution so that the children or grandchildren of illegal immigrants could vote for Congress.
Yeah, tell her.
Maybe start off the segment with Peggy. You know, we're gonna go ahead and talk to these other, or not. I can go ahead and just pick her up now and be like,
Pick it up and say it has nothing to do with our topic at all.
Sorry, no.
okay.
Yeah.
Participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program.
I'm getting better. Used to be I took any call.
SaferUSA.com or
Any
call
port and storm.
877-954-3030.
I tend that feeling
That's
sometimes, but
877-954-3030. Safer USA.
no connection. There's no way you can even remotely connect this.
Responsibly.
There's no
For
segue.
over 100
Like I said,
years,
unless she
Illinois
was
State Rifle
unless she's
Association
reacting
has
to-
supported the rights
to
and
us talking
freedoms
about
of Illinois
bullshit.
citizens
Which I did
to
say
keep
yes,
and bear
even though I
arms.
think
For
Even
over 100
still,
years, the
there's no
ISRA
real
has used
relationship.
the firearms
No.
as a sport
That's-
for personal
that's like
protection
picking
and as a
something
fundamental aspect of
completely
national
random
defense. For
and,
over
like,
100
making
years,
something
the
out of
Illinois
Yeah.
State Rifle Association has been
Yeah.
supporting you. Don't you think it's time you supported them? ISRA.org or 815-635-3198. The Illinois State Rifle
Oh,
Association
my.
supporting you.
Did you
Fine.
need a makeover?
Fine.
Outdated bathrooms? Did a big box store raise more questions than answers? The answer is Stone City. 2
Well,
million
Peggy was
square
gone
feet
anyway.
of marble and countertops and 50
You see?
colors starting at
I think she is
$26
watching
a
Ustream.
square
She
foot.
heard us
Plus
talking.
the
The
latest
world
appliances,
writes
cabinetry,
itself.
faucets,
No,
and
she listens
fixtures.
on the radio.
Stone City designers transform
you
your
know,
dream into reality.
well,
Stone City,
pleasure.
3053 West Grand in Chicago, or call
What are you gonna do?
773-533-9806. That's 773-533-9806.
It's hard to tell somebody that's something
Stone
they care
City,
deeply
it's your
about
home only better.
and have
In 2002,
agonized
National
over,
Sleep Foundation
um,
found that 63%
I
of
don't know.
women had trouble sleeping. Andy Willoughby, in my opinion, a major
Oh, that's
reason
all,
for
George.
it is the Blue Card. It's a shopping and loyalty card, and it's free. That's right, free, no charge, nada. With the Blue Card,
You
can
got
receive
another call,
5%
Mr.
cash back on
Yeah,
purchases. Most
probably
cards only
call back.
offer 2% at most. No
That's
wonder
all right.
girls can't
No,
sleep.
it's not a problem.
With the Blue
Go
Card, you
ahead.
can also
No,
get
it's okay.
shopping points that you could use for
I'm
online
okay with that.
purchases. So it's cash back and shopping
Oh,
points.
what are you gonna do?
Keeping you awake. If you refer the Blue
What you
Card to
gonna
someone
do
else,
when
you
they
can
come
even earn
for
money on
you,
their
bad
purchases.
boys,
I'm
bad
serious, it's true.
boys?
But it gets better. If you share the Blue Card with a merchant, you could earn on the purchases of everyone who uses the Blue Card at their store. There is no way you're going to get any sleep until you get your own free Blue Card. So call 800-685-7470 and rest easy again. 800-685-7470. 800-685-7470.
You're listening to On Target Radio on AM560 The Answer with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your.
And we're back with more On Target Radio. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. We're gonna look at the traditional family structure, and better look fast. It's fading quick. Interesting thing, an article that came out of Freedom Outpost written by Michael Snyder. Only 46% of children today live in a home that has both a mother and a father that are in their first marriage, presumably to one another.
To each other,
I
yeah.
assume, yeah. An additional 15% live in a home that has two parents where at least one of them has been remarried. And 39% of all U.S. kids are living in a home with either just a single parent or no parents at all. That's a big shift.
I'm actually surprised that the number of first-time married people with children is as high as 46%. I thought it was worse than that, to be honest with you.
You're such a pessimist.
I know. I every day I have this feeling that the whole thing is going to hell in a handbasket.
No, that's past. We've already
We're way past hell
we're
in a
past that part.
handbasket.
Yeah. It's
Oh damn.
we've said this before, and everybody knows. If you listen to the show, everybody knows I'm no fan of Gary McCarthy in Chicago, the superintendent of police. But people keep wanting to blame the administration for problems
or expecting them to fix it.
Or expecting them to fix it, yeah. And the fact is
this is the real problem.
This is the problem. It's a sociological problem. It has nothing to do with law enforcement.
It actually, I think it actually has a lot more to do with welfare than
Absolutely.
it does, because welfare enabled the single parent family to flourish.
It's an enabler.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it.
It basically made it so that women who either wanted to have children or accidentally had children had no reason to stay with the father of the child, which in some cases is probably good. If the man is beating you, okay, that's a good thing that you don't have to stay with them. But most people are simply doing it as a choice now. They have no thoughts of marrying that person. Michael Snyder makes the point that sex has become a national sport, and that back in the day there was something sacred about sex. And that made me think of when I used to work for Catholic nuns. I used to work for religious sisters, and even they don't have that attitude about sex anymore. Of all the people that you would think would say no, sex outside of marriage is wrong, you would think it would be Catholic sisters, but no, even they don't believe that anymore. Which is he's dumbfounded. He's gobsmacked.
You know what? You like that word.
I love that word.
It's part and parcel. This is like a tapestry. It's all woven together, and because look, it was early '60s. Johnson started with the Great Society, giving people stuff, and we know why.
If there were ever a misnomer, that would be one.
Right, and we all know it was all about getting votes. But here's the product of that. That's the '60s. We're in what, third generation?
Well, in those communities, probably fourth or fifth, actually.
Okay, so fourth and fifth generation of people who've never even known anyone in their family.
Oh yeah.
Who's had a job.
Who had a job.
And whatever they want, and when I say whatever they want, I don't mean to sound excessive, but basically they get what they need. Mm-hmm. They get food, they get housing, all this stuff, and whatever money they make, however they make it, they buy a car, they do whatever they're going to do. But the point is, there's literally no pride in earning. If you're going to buy something, you've earned the money to buy that. There's no pride in that. There's no pride in home ownership because they're living, they're living in public housing. I mean, basically, we've taught them. To a certain degree, I have to say, it's really not their fault because we've taught them this. We've allowed them to believe this stuff.
But the interesting thing is that they don't even realize what's been perpetrated.
Not at all.
Them.
No.
I have a friend who used to work at Job Corps in Joliet, and a lot of the young people that are sent to Job Corps come from Chicago.
Sure.
They come from those housing projects.
Sure.
And she would, she's like us, she's conservative, and she would make the statement to them on occasion, not on a daily basis, but on occasion, she would sometimes casually comment to her students that there's really no difference between welfare and slavery. And because they're black, they would get all up in arms. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you just said slavery, And she's like, explain to me how it's different.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right.
And her point is completely valid.
You're beholden to the man.
Yeah, but they didn't even see it that way.
They don't.
They couldn't even see the forest for the trees.
See, that's because the philosophy of entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see it that way because they've never known it to be different.
Right.
This is the natural way you live.
That's the thing, though. She would actually make them do a project. This is genius. She would make them do a project of, okay, you're going to look in the newspaper, you're going to move to another city. So pick another city other than Chicago, and you're going to pull up on the computer the newspaper from that city. You're going to find a job. You're going to find a place to live, and you're going to figure out how to make ends meet with all the the money that you make in that job. And they were all like, "What?" They had no concept of what she was talking about.
Well, that's like when we talk about wanting to get a gangbanger on the show and came to the realization that they never leave more than a couple blocks from where they live.
Their territory.
All right, we're going to be back with more on Target Radio after these messages, and we're going to talk about the Army's opened up Ranger School to women. You're listening to AM560, The Answer.
How can you get from here to there? That's the answer from the
Hour goes quick.
Traffic
We need 7 hours.
On top of it, I told you, I've got a couple of childhood buddies that are up in the gang, higher up in the gang. You wouldn't understand a word of what they said. My buddy Jimmy.
Can't they speak English for
higher
brief period of time?
disciple. Still talk to him once in a while. We play Little League. Okay? You wouldn't understand more than 3 or 4 words at each sentence. Well, and so on.
Yeah, we would need you to pull up that clip from Airplane where Barbara Billingsley said, "Pardon me, can I be some assistance?
Well, see, here's the stupidest part. I would understand him, and I would have to bleep the swear words, even though nobody else would know they were swear words. So you would just lose 8 seconds of gibberish in the middle of the sentence. You'd be like, what the hell just happened? Listen to the radio. What?
That's like some raps, or not rap songs, but like R&B songs on pop radio. They bleep out so many words. You're like, I have no idea what he's talking about.
My wife says that I grew up in a comedy skit, and to a certain extent, it's true. The funny thing, the truly funny thing. I'm also the blackest white person most black people have ever met.
Right.
You're not black and Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
I'm where counts.
He was born a poor black child.
That's right. I was only born in a black family. I'm like the jerk. I'm always gonna look this way.
And you can't keep rhythm.
That's right.
I can't actually.
No, but that was Steve Martin. And then what kind of music? I forget what music he heard. Whatever the music was he heard, all of a sudden he could do it.
Yeah.
What was it? I don't remember. Rock and roll or something. But
It was.
my favorite line from that movie was when his motorcycle riding girlfriend says, "I tattooed your name on my ass," and he goes, "Oh wow, now more people will see them when it's in the phone book."
For quite some time, and it became a crisis. Finally, my favorite, call Trinity. If you're in
That's a funny movie.
Call Trinity at 1-800.
All I need is this TV
6976 to talk to a certified counselor. We called them.
That movie was so weird. It was all over the map.
Oh, it was.
He invents this device and
was
he
totally
comes rich and then gets sued and loses
Trinity will
It was totally off the wall.
collections codes, wipe out late fees, reduce your interest,
So
and
bizarre.
possibly improve your credit score. You'll save thousands. We are now completely debt-free, and we will never be in
We are now
trouble
completely
again,
debt
thanks
free.
to Trinity.
I will be completely debt
Call
free.
Trinity at 1-800-990-6976. My name is
Don't
John.
do that. It's you. You're going to be completely debt free. You're going to be debt
That's
free.
1-800-990-6976.
Okay.
You're listening to On Target Radio on AM560 The Answer with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
And we're back with more On Target Radio. If you are a veteran, particularly a Spec Ops guy, or if you were an airborne ranger, you ought to give us a call, 312-642-5600. Weigh in on that. We got any rangers
You're
on?
sure to have an opinion.
Yeah, if there are any rangers listening, you should give us a call because they are now going to admit women into the ranger school, which I don't have a problem with that. I mean, Israelis have had women in combat forever. So I don't see that as an issue, I'm a big lover of the military in general, certainly the Army, because I was an Army guy, but it is a bastion of male. It's a guy thing, and I would be interested in hearing from some of these younger Turks who are more recent, graduates of the Ranger School and see what their opinion is on that. Would you go to Ranger School?
Oh, hell no.
Well, There you go. It's very.
I've heard about Ranger School. I actually know a couple of young men who went to Ranger School. One of them, I can't remember what the final test, like the survival part, like the 2-week survival training.
I think you have to eat somebody.
I can't remember what that's called, but he actually he got real sick during that part, and so he had to drop out, and they made him repeat just that section. So luckily they didn't make him repeat the whole thing. But no, I've not heard anything good about Ranger School.
Well, here just to get and I will say this, they are not lowering the standards to get in, so that's a good thing. Just to qualify to get in, you have to be just reading this. You know, I've just started.
I know, he was incredulous at this the other day.
Yeah, I joined a health club and I started working out.
It made his arms hurt just listening to this.
Yeah, because I turned into a whale. So I'm doing it. So here it is. Just to be able to qualify, you have to be able to do 49 push-ups in 2 minutes, 59 sit-ups also in 2 minutes, and a 5-mile run in less than 40 minutes and 6 chin-ups with the palms in. I don't think I've done 49 push-ups since I left the Army, total.
I've probably done more push-ups than you have since you left the Army.
Have you done push-ups?
Oh, yeah, I know. I can do push-ups.
Trust me completely. You have done more than I have. I don't do.
In my church, some of the leaders in my church, we used to have competitions of who could do the most push-ups. Now, obviously, I was not winning those competitions because I was going against men. But I have done my fair share of push-ups in my adult life.
I take it back. When I did martial arts training for a few years, he used to make us do push-ups and sit-ups. I forgot. I have done some.
Not 49, probably.
No. I would start with everybody, and then something would go wrong. You get a phone call or something. I would go, I'll be back in a minute, and I go outside and I'd act like I was talking on the phone. And I'd watch them when they're done. I'd come in and I go, oh, that's exercise. Well, we're done. But here's the interesting thing about this, and I'm not belittling this at all, but I find it just a little difficult. If a woman completes the program, and I'm sure they will, they get the Ranger tab, that nifty little tab that you put on your shoulder, right? It says Ranger, but you know what? They can't do anything. They're not going to let them actually go and be a Ranger. So they walk around with a little tab on their shoulder, which signifies completing an intensely rigorous program.
Yeah, obviously they've prevailed against something mighty.
Yeah.
But still.
They
don't get to actually do anything other than
that's the thing.
Wear the tab.
That's the thing.
I don't know. I can't see putting myself through that torture to wear a tab. Quite honestly.
I find that interesting, and the reason why is because there are a lot of women, and by no means do I mean this in a negative manner. There are a lot of women who want to prove that they can be as good as a male is at that.
Yes.
And that's what will go into it. People who want to say, you know what. This should not be a boys' club. It should be. And that the military, has until January 2000. Well, they got 1 year left, at which time they have to integrate women into combat positions or have justification to not.
Sure. Well, there are some things we've discussed this. There are some things that I think women would be really good at, like being snipers.
Sure, absolutely.
You have to be able to do math to be a sniper.
Good hand-eye.
Eye-hand coordination.
Yep.
Women are very good at fine motor skills.
Yep, and they're cold,
they
heartless.
Have ice water in their veins.
Yeah, cold and heartless. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
If you're not talking about raising children, we have ice water in our veins.
It's true. Women are very cold and detached. Isn't that true, George? Yeah,
especially German American ones. I think we should recruit a lot of German American women.
I gotta be careful. I got to be careful what I say because we're riding in the same car home.
George is a Hoffman, so he can. He's
Frau,
talking about his.
Frau Fritz.
Yeah,
Hoffman.
I'm a Fraulein. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. That's true. You're a Fraulein. I'm Italian. We're lovers. We're not fighters. What can I say?
There's no Italian snipers.
No.
Probably not. There shouldn't be. If there are, there shouldn't be.
But we make good pizza.
That is true.
So that's
you
it.
do.
It is.
We're really, really glad you invented pizza.
That's right.
Thank you.
We didn't get a single Ranger to call in. Not one Ranger to call in.
It's terrible.
I'm guessing it's probably because absolutely no one listens to the show.
That's my guess as well.
Yeah. I don't know why it is when we go places and set up a little booth and stuff, we get flocked by people who say, "Oh, I listen to your show every week," and they never call in.
Yeah. I think
Hey, they're lying.
they've got their tinfoil hats on already for the night, and so they don't want to use the telephone.
That could be, or they're reloading. They could be
They're downstairs reloading. They're always downstairs reloading.
Oh, it's another brilliant show that we're going to put in the can, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shoot everybody.
You were just saying before the show that we should do a whole show of nothing but jokes. So you can call or write us and let us know what you think about that.
Should we do a show of nothing but jokes? We're going to be back after these
We
brief
might ask you to
messages with more on Target Radio, and you're listening to AM560, The Answer.
Did you see what I put on Facebook?
What? No.
Look on Facebook.
With an increasing number of Illinois concealed carry instructors having their credentials revoked.
And on Target Radio?
Training to chance. Safer USA,
Affirmative.
Chicago's trusted firearm training.
You know, my wife is incognito.
6,000 students and
Nice.
responsible firearm owners. We're offering
My
the
wife
most
is incognito.
Illinois concealed
Oh,
carry
really?
She
program
is
available.
damn near 3/4 German,
Actually prepared
but the
you.
other quarter is Filipino.
Filipino.
So she looks like a
She
Filipino.
looks Filipino.
And
She's
now
really
my
well
daughter,
German, that's funny.
my daughter is damn near 7/8 German,
Exactly.
with the rest a mix of Filipino and Dutch and Swedish and
She's
everything
a
else.
Hoffman.
She's a Hoffman, yeah, she'll tell you.
1H what?
You ask her, what's your name? Chloe Lane Hoffman, double F, double N. Gets all mad about it. Yeah, it's her third birthday Friday. I still
You're in so much trouble.
Where's Wrangler?
Beyond.
Is he here?
You want him in?
Responsibly is ours. When flipping
You got
houses,
nothing
there's
left.
one goal.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Hey Russ,
We're gonna be
come
on
party
his-
with the infidels.
We're gonna be on his show.
Come party with the infidels.
Did you ever get in touch with him?
Yeah, I told you I did. When you picked me up, that was the first thing I said.
Yeah, it was,
Well, I
you know,
remember you
she's
saying-
allowed to come on a show on the condition that she didn't tell you.
And now I'm going to show you how.
I remember you saying you planned on being on the show.
No, I texted you and I said, do you want to stay for Russ's show? I'm gonna email him and ask him.
That part, yeah, yeah,
And you said whatever you want, so I emailed him. And as soon when you picked me up, the first thing I said in the car is, I got an email from Russ and he said yes.
If the deal is good, you'll get the funds.
You don't.
So now you know
Pick
I
your
don't pay any
voice.
attention whatsoever.
So
Hi.
not only is the
One of these
hearing
two.
terrible,
What? One of
see,
these
I
two.
think you're just saying that your memory is terrible. You actually don't care and you're not thinking about it.
You don't hear good either?
What?
Yeah. So I essentially got incognito German women, and
I'm the
to
guy
make sure that I lose all my hair.
That shot a gun off in a room.
AM560
I would be deaf forever.
David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz.
How long you got? 2 minutes?
With more interesting conversation on gun control,
You
concealed
ready?
carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
And we're back with more on Target Radio. And the Rangers never made it over the hill. They didn't come in. We got no comments. They must have no problem with women going to Ranger school.
Yeah.
I know we have
I'm
Rangers that
probably
listen
gonna
to
get
us.
Nancy emails now that you said that.
Yeah, I know there's someone listening to us. Anyway,
He's poking the snake.
that's it. What can I tell you? Speaking of poking around, let's poke around and find out what the heck you can do in the upcoming weeks.
It's here! This weekend is the Chicagoland Gun Show in Rosemont. Come out to see it on Target Radio January 23rd to 25th. There will be gun and equipment sales, educational talks, and organizations like the ISRA, USCCA, and the Aurora Sportsman's Club who want to sign you up. Your ticket also gets you into the Chicago Outdoor Sports Show, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Rosemont. And I forgot to write in here, but also I should mention, we're teaching Utah concealed carry as well. So if you would
That's
like
true.
to get your Utah concealed carry, you need to take a class. You can come take the class from me.
And I think we're getting what, $25 or something, aren't we?
Oh, I didn't hear
Yeah,
that.
some ridiculously
That's a total ripoff.
small amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you sent your email yet? A documentary about American women's increased interest in guns called Girls Just Want to Have Guns is in the works. Don't you think they should include your favorite Sunday night gun-related talk show?
Me?
Us.
Oh.
We are having an email campaign to let the producers of this film know that they need to include On Target Radio. Either go to girlsjustwannahaveguns.com and click on Contact Us, or use the link I put on our Facebook page to contact the makers of this documentary. If you send them an email, send us an email too and let us know. The following Safer USA classes are all at our office in Waterman. Saturday, January 24th, Know Your Platform Rifle 1 and 2, taught by Eric. Saturday, February 7th, NRA Basic Instructor Training, taught by David. Sunday, February 8th, NRA Chief Range Safety Officer, taught by David. Not at our office in Waterman. Women's Concealed Carry and Wine Party, Friday, February 6th, taught by me. To sign up for classes, go to saferusa.com and click on register.
That's it. And live in our studio, the fabulous Russ Gangler is here.
Hello, guys.
I mean, I'm Sports. I'm Target Sports.
I'm Target Sports. Yeah.
Our two shows had a baby.
We're merging. We're merging.
Are we? What's the latest word on the show, Gangler?
We've got a great show coming up tonight.
I hear you have a fabulous guest star in the studio.
Gretchen's going to come in and talk a little on her expertise later on, and midway through the first hour show.
Figure skating talk.
We'll do that after the first segment, and we're going to have her talk about that. And you got all that lined up. You got everything.
I do.
Everything. That's good.
She actually skates. She skates herself.
That's right. Tanya Hardy making a comeback.
No.
I'm going to tease you a little bit later on the show, so guys, make sure to tune in. Gretchen's going to be on. The first segment, I was going to talk about football. Two big football games today. The Green Bay Packers
the Pack
choked, and that was called the discount double choke. Aaron Rodgers. Go make a new commercial. What do you do in Wisconsin now? What do you do? Suicide watch the next 2 weeks for everybody in Wisconsin.
Eat cheese. It's just eat cheese. That's all there is. That's all that's left.
And go to Hardee's.
Yeah. So that's coming up. And our own on Target Radio, Gretchen, will be on that show. So it's cool.
You're welcome to listen, David, in the hallway.
I know. You're pointing at something.
I'm pointing at Facebook.
Okay. Fast.
Quentin said Rangers can't stay up this late. That's why no one called. And Ed Ronkowski said that he wants to audition for our joke show, but I haven't had time to preview this, so I can't read it. But if it's good, we'll let you know.
All right. Ronkowski. All right, thank you for listening to Target Radio. Be sure to listen next week. We'll be covering the red meat issues that affect your life.
We'd also like to thank George Hoffman on the board, our sponsors, DS Arms, Illinois State Rifle Association, the Aurora Sportsman's Club, Stone City Kitchen and Bath Design Center, and Safer USA.
Be sure to stay tuned for Living Sports coming up with Russ Gangler and our very own Gretchen Fritz. And thanks, Mike, for making it all happen. We're getting it where we timed this out pretty good. You know that?
Yep. We're good.
I was thinking first, I never saw it. Just for like, am I okay? Because it doesn't have a.
You don't have a condom?
Yeah, well, now the problem is now you got PD.
You don't know where that thing's been.
Well, I don't think I can get sick from it being right here.
You might be surprised.
Don't put some in my head, but I'll think about it. I'm germ free.
Did you get a call about taking over the show tomorrow? I didn't get my call.
The morning show.
About John.
They didn't offer us the
You didn't
morning
get the call?
show.
John and Amy?
John? Oh yeah, John's gone.
He's gone?
Oh,
He'll be
yeah.
in LS tomorrow morning.
What?
He'll be on LS tomorrow.
Yeah.
You didn't know that?
No.
But they didn't call you.
Well, this guy didn't even know his rep was leaving.
I didn't even know Tony was leaving for Arizona. I think my college ditched me. I don't know anything that's fucking going on. I just write out checks and be nice to everybody.
Do you know who your rep is yet?
Mike.
Sakoff?
Oh, Sakoff. Okay.
Sakoff's
I guess so.
He's a good. Sakoff's
That's
a
right. You were
good
saying
guy.
that last week.
He's a good guy.
That's your rep, right?
Huh?
That's your guy.
Yeah.
So what happened with John House?
John got an offer from Cumulus to go to WLS 890 for morning. And the reason he left wasn't because they offered him a morning show, it's because they also offered him a nationwide syndicated country music show, which he's wanted to do for a very long time.
So what is Amy doing? She got signed for it?
We think it's going to be Dan Props. There's no way to know for sure.
That's why I asked. Did you get a call?
They might call me.
I didn't get a call.
You might as well just stay here. They're going to be showing up here for your show.
I sat at home waiting for the call. It didn't come.
To sleep that one night when I was like sick as hell when I was driving, so I went and dozed off on that chair. I was woken up by Dave Strickland 3:45 in the morning.